Hello class, this is the last example of absolute values and square roots of functions. So here's our function, here's the graph of the function that we'll be looking at. You can pause the video and try and sketch these yourselves, or at the very minimum visualize what you think they would look like. So let's get straight to it. As we've seen before, when it comes to the absolute value of f of x, all this means is we take all the positive values, they remain the same. So I'm highlighting, well, drawing over in blue the function. But then, because these are all negative, and we're taking the absolute value of f of x, it's the exact same graph like this, except now it will be going upwards, like so. There's actually an asymptote here at 1 that I've graphed in, so it should be something similar, or probably not as straight. Let me try that again. Something to this effect. So that there is that function. Y is equal to f of absolute value x. Well, absolute value x means all the positive values of x remain the same. So the graph along positive values of x remain the same, like so. But now, because negative values are now treated as if they were positive values, let's say this value of -2, it's as if it were positive 2. So it's kind of like a reflection, like so. Let me try this. Let me try to draw this again a little bit more neatly. Hope you understand the idea. It's something to that effect. So while I'll highlight in black, this no longer exists, and it's only what we see in blue. Alright, so let's move on. Absolute value y is equal to f of x. Now remember, what we're really looking to do is solve the equation of absolute value y is equal to any f of x value. So since this is, let's say, -1, no values of y, when we take its absolute value, could possibly be equal to 1. Because of this, I'm going to highlight this in black, this no longer exists in this relation. So these no longer exist. And as we've seen previously, whenever you see a positive f of x, it still exists. So these all still exist in this relation. But now at the same time, it will now have a reflection along the x-axis. Something to this effect. It's hard to draw perfectly, but I hope you understand the effect that it has. So that there in blue is what exists for this relation. Absolute value y is equal to f of x. Y is equal to square root of x. Similar to this one, negative values cannot be taken square root of, because square root of, let's say, -1, square root -1, does not exist. It's not a real number. So once again in black, these that I'm highlighting do not exist in this relation. Now as for the positive values, remember that y equals 1, like so. Should actually be a bit lower, like try to zoom in a little bit more. At y equals 1, below this value, square roots are above the function. Okay, because I'll remind you again, let's say we take 0.5. If you were to try in your calculator, square root of 0.5 actually gets larger. It becomes 0.7. So anything below 0 is actually bigger when you take the square roots of the values. As for amounts greater than 1, it actually gets smaller. So this one here looks to be about, well, 3.5 looks to be about here from the looks of it. Let's say that's 3.25. Square root of 3.25 is 1.8. Well, 1.8, approximately that's 1.75. 1.8, just a little bit more above it. So should be at this point there. So graphing this out like so. And now as this is approaching 1, square roots of values approaching 1 are also 1. So it should go down like so. Let me get rid of this straight line. Let me try one more time. And it goes off horizontally. Not exactly perfect, but you get the idea of what's going on there. And that there is the graph of y is equal to square roots of f of x. Now, y squared is equal to f of x. We can simplify this as y is equal to plus minus square root f of x, which it's the positive and negative version of it. So in essence, it's this exact same thing. So let me get rid of the bit that doesn't exist. There we are. It's the exact same thing, except now, let me just actually copy paste this. Save me some time. It's the exact same thing, like so. Except now as well, there's a reflection of it along along the x-axis. Something to that effect. And there we have it. So I hope that gave you an insight into taking the the absolute value and square roots of function. Hope to see you in the next video. Best of luck.